Hey guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow, and I am back with an all-new video. Today's topic is Ask Me Anything. This is your guys' burning questions and my channeled information as the answers. So as always, there are timestamps down below, and you are more than welcome to hop around and choose any topic or segment that you yourself find to be of interest. However, I will also share that there were a few that I myself found to be notable or surprising, and I have mentioned those specifically in the housekeeping section in the timestamps down below. So if you yourself do watch those segments, please let me know how you had found them. Now, if you are new here, or even if you're not, maybe this is going to be a good reminder for you for the way that the AMAs work, which is these are in no particular order other than the order in which the information had come into me. Now, look at it this way. If you have a stack of 150 flyers and you are going through an entire neighborhood to hand them out, and you get to somebody's door and you are knocking and they're not coming to the door, you're holding a stack of 150 flyers. Are you going to continue to stand there and knock at the door and ask to be let in? Or are you maybe going to put that particular flyer in that person's mailbox and move on? Because that's very much the way in which channeling for an AMA works. I got so many topics to look into. If somebody's energy does not want to come in, or if a particular topic just doesn't want to come in, I'm not standing around banging on the door, begging to be let in. I got all these other topics to look into. So does it mean that if I have not answered your question, I never will? No. It just means that for whatever reason, on that particular day when I had attempted to make contact, the person's energy did not want to come in. I do keep a running list of all topics that are requested, and if I look into a subject, it gets a check mark, and if it doesn't, it automatically carries through to the next AMA. And sometimes somebody's energy comes in maybe the next time later, maybe it even takes 4 to 5 times later, or sometimes the energy never wants to come in. A la, for example, Taylor Swift. She is the gatekeeper of her energy, and she does not let me in. But this is still why I keep that running list, because I think sometimes, frankly, I just wear people down and they're like, okay, she's here again. Maybe she'll leave us alone if we come in this time. So please do not be discouraged if I have not answered your question. It does automatically carry through to the next AMA and beyond if their energy does not agree to come in. So with that in mind, let's get started. I remind you I use a notebook because hella lot of information came in and there is no way to remember it all. So you will see me reading from it on occasion. And I will also share with you that in the event that I'm looking into a particular subject or somebody's energy and it connects to a different video of mine that I have previously done, I will mention it in that segment, and I will also link that particular video down below underneath the timestamps, and you are welcome to go back and watch that video at any point. I remind you, everything is connected, especially everything that we're looking into here, because we're just peeling back the veil. So it might seem like something we're looking into is just like a one-off, and then it might actually end up connecting to a number of other videos of mine. So just keep that in mind. I will, of course, mention any other video that it pertains to, and I will link it down below. And if anything is 2% personal opinion, I will mention that as well. Other than that, if I do not say this is 2% personal opinion, it is either factual information, which I may or may not get wrong, because I am not Wikipedia, I am a human being, and anything I share is anecdotal or remembering of something, or it is channeled. All right, that concludes the housekeeping. With that in mind, let's dive in to the goods that the guides have brought. So, the first person's energy that I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Jennifer Lawrence. Now, Jennifer Lawrence has been in the industry forever. She has been in it for, I would say, at least 10 plus years, and she has won an Academy Award, which one could say is notable. And if you've been here for a while, you probably already know what that means. Now, in addition to that, recently Jennifer Lawrence has started to look rather different with her facial features. So let's see what Jennifer's energy wanted to share with me. Jennifer Lawrence raises a perfectly arched eyebrow on her perfect and newly altered face and asks me if I wouldn't do it. Wouldn't anyone want to do it? To be made perfect? To live a life few could dream of? To be known, to be recognized, and to be rewarded? She doesn't even understand how it's a question one could or would even have. So I ask her how it feels to not be her own person. And she rolls her eyes at me and tells me that must be what the 99% tell ourselves. It's so terrible for them. And that we must tell that to ourselves to make up for the fact that we lead perfectly ordinary and boring lives. As in, we sit around and discuss them ad nauseum and complain, but they're not their own people. And she thinks we point to them like they're monkeys in the zoo, but rather we should stare at them, but because they are brave. Why are they brave? Because they are willing to align themselves with something few of us would dare to, and to go to places too unspeakable to even say, according to Jennifer. So while everyone thinks they are overpaid and pampered, no one knows how they too must face down the deepest parts of their soul while exploring how far they can go and what they themselves are willing to do for their fame and their seat at the table. And while some only want to scratch the surface, others are willing to go deep. And she went full in. So I asked how, and no surprise, she declined to tell me, other than to share with me certain things so imagine this is not like her conversating it with me. It's not a conversation anyway because it's energy. So when I'm energetically connecting to somebody, all thoughts are laid bare. So it's not like we're actually verbally communicating. It's more like a telepathic communication that we have. But sometimes telepathically, they won't even communicate. They'll rather invite me to see things through the lens in which they themselves have experienced something. So this is where she had allowed me to see things through the lens of her own experiences, which was to show me or invite me in where I could experience her standing naked in an open clearing in the rain. Her hair was plastered to her face, and she was holding a knife and not knowing which way to go. She was feeling lost, scared, and alone, but she was not willing to give up after coming this far. Now, there is another such celebrity that had shared something similar with me, and that was when I had looked into the energy of Will Smith, which is a video that is linked down below if you have not yet seen that and you want to go back to it. This is going to provide some additional context and clarity that this is not unique to just something that Jennifer Lawrence has experienced, nor is it something unique that only Will Smith had experienced. I have seen at least 3 separate occasions where certain celebrities have been taken out to a property. There's a house on a property and there is tons and tons and tons of land. And there is one area where they tend to drop people off in, apparently naked, because this is the 3rd time I've seen where they're dropping them off naked. But they drop them off in an area where there are a lot of trees. And if the person stood there and turned around, one area would have kind of like a mountainous or very, very hilly range. And then one area appears to have like some sort of a clearing. So they might go through the trees to a clearing and then into another region where there are trees, dropped off when the sun is starting to set. The idea is for them to spend the entirety of the night, or however long it actually takes for them, to make their way back to the house where the team that has dropped them off is. They are left there naked, no clothing. Sometimes they have water or they have a knife. They are not left with any food or anything that they can make shelter for. And the purpose of this is to strip them completely down and to strip them completely bare. And essentially, it's to break them so that they can be rebuilt, but rebuilt in a satisfactory way of those that are investing money in them. Because the way celebrities are, they're kind of, if you will, traded like people trade stocks on the New York Stock Exchange. And if you want to learn more about that, there is a segment in a previous AMA in which I had looked into Nicolas Cage. Go back and watch that segment as well to learn more about that. There's 3 separate teams that are taking these people out. Even though it's different teams, the purpose is always the same, to break them. So she is sharing, if only we knew what went into winning an Academy Award. If only we knew what it took to develop the fullness of character that merits the award. We would give them their due respect because of just what they had done to earn it. Because as I've said before, she's acknowledging you do not get something without giving something in return. And in her case, she gave a lot to get a lot. So that is the information that had come in on Jennifer Lawrence. Any additional questions, please do feel free to comment down below. Now, the next person's energy that I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Harrison Ford. Now, Harrison Ford is what we would consider to be an old-timer. He was in the industry before the industry was taken over by the club. So let's see, very, very brief segment. Let's see what Harrison's energy wanted to share with me. Harrison Ford feels he has had a great life and a great career, and that is all he has wanted to share. Now, I was also asked to look into his wife, Calista Flockhart's energy. So she was standing next to him. She smiled at me and she waved me off goodbye. So these two are not rather talkative. Any questions on them, please feel free to comment down below. Now, the next person's energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Jeff Goldblum. I really don't know that much about him, so I can't even share anything anecdotal. I mean, I know he's an actor in the industry. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. So Jeff Goldblum knows about some things. Is there a surprise? And one of the things he knows about is when to keep his mouth closed. He asked me rhetorically, how else did he survive in the industry so long? By keeping his mouth shut. So I asked him if it's the kind of industry like crab fishing is, that is perilous. And he smiles and he says, quote, "You have no idea," end quote. So I tell him we do not have to talk about anything so-called perilous. And he says, quote, "Then what else is there?" End quote. Because according to him, the whole industry, the whole Hollywood industry, evolves around said perilous things. And in the absence of discussing it, the industry is completely void. He points out that the actors in the Hollywood industry get paid to pretend to be someone else. Like maybe, in fact, all actors secretly need psychiatric help for embracing this as a career choice. Because who needs to run away from themselves so badly that they want to pretend to be somebody else? And then they get awarded for it? So yeah, the industry is weird. And those in the industry are weird too. Like really fucking weird. So for one to fit in, you must be weird too, or be really good at pretending to be weird. But don't let them smell the inauthenticity of the weirdness on you, or that is how people get blacklisted, among other reasons. So I ask what those reasons are, and he shakes his head and tells me I'm sneaky for trying to get him to talk, but he'd like to keep his head, so he declined to speak any further. That is what I have for you on Jeff Goldblum. Any further questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person's energy I was asked to look into is a former night show host by the name of Conan O'Brian. So he was on the air for many, many, many years. I actually had seen him because he had done his live, he had a live studio audience in New York City. I had actually seen him live. I actually didn't think he was that particularly funny. You more go for the experience than because you're going to be entertained, because I don't find a lot of them to actually be funny, for some personal opinion. But I allowed myself to be as completely unbiased as I could be when I was connected to his energy. But I think he still picked up, to borrow the word of Jeff Goldblum, I think Conan O'Brien still picked up the taint of inauthenticity on me when, you'll see. Just watch, you'll see. So when I connected to Conan O'Brien's energy, he tells me, it's showtime. I don't smile. I don't laugh. So he says to me, quote, tough audience tonight, end quote. I just stared at him. He says, quote, you don't like me very much, do you? End quote. So I follow his question up by asking him why he is so desperate for my approval. He doesn't answer. He sulks. He said he refused to give me consent to read his energy without my laughing at his jokes first. I declined. He looked genuinely wounded, but seriously, I asked him, can't we all be responsible for our own feelings here, Conan? So he tells me he's not sure he knows how to, because he spent too many years in front of a live audience, and without it, he's not sure he can regulate himself. He also shared with me he had a low-key drinking problem and insomnia problem for many years, but it is getting better. He is not getting better with the coping of how to deal without being in front of a live studio audience, but he is getting better at treating his drinking problem and his insomnia. He also shared with me that he devoted so much time of his life to TV. What did I write here? He devoted so much of his life to TV that it fucked with his brain a little bit, and that's what no one talks about. Coming down from that high. Coming back to yourself, whoever that is, after giving so much of yourself away to others, night after night, year after year. The applause, the energy, the attention, and then nothing. It's a lonely life, and it is one that so few understand. Sometimes not even he himself understands it. But look, he's gone and he's talked to me, but without my laughing, so bye. That is what I have for you on Conan O'Brian. Any questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person's energy I was asked to look into is someone by the name of Tina Knowles. This is Beyonce and Solange Knowles' mother. Let's see what Tina's energy wanted to share with me. So energetically, Tina Knowles met me sitting at a kitchen table with her hands wrapped around a coffee cup. She smiled at me and did not seem surprised to see an energy reader, but also did not seem entirely enthused to speak with me. She said there's a lot of attention around B, as in Beyonce, but she won't speak to me about, quote, that, end quote. Now, this is where I'm going to remind you the reason I use a notebook is exactly for cases like this. Because it is not, the words that somebody chooses to share when they connect with me is not mine to take liberty with. There is important nuances in the information that a person shares. In this case, specifically the fact that she said the word that when referencing Beyonce. She did not use the word her when talking about her daughter, Beyonce. She used the word that. And that is why I use a notebook. So I can bring to you the nuances of what somebody says and why it's notable. So yes, according to Tina, Beyonce's mother, there's a lot of attention around B, but she won't speak to me about that. Which again, I found to be notable because she did not say the word her. So I asked if she would speak about Jay-Z instead, and she said to me, quote, clever girl, but no, end quote. So I asked if there was anything she would speak about, and she took a big breath in, like so. And she said she's not prepared at this time. She still has a lot of processing to do, and there's still so many parts of herself she is not prepared to share. Not yet, maybe not ever. But she did say, quote, life is one wild ride and you really never know where it will take you, end quote. So that is what I have for you on Tina Knowles. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next actress I was asked to look into is Eva Longoria. Now, Eva Longoria rose to fame on that TV show, what was it called? I don't remember if it was called Desperate Housewives maybe, or it was the show that was located on a fictitious street named Wisteria Lane, I think. It was like a big ensemble cast, and she's gone on to do other things as well. Let's see what Eva's energy wanted to share with me. So Eva's energy shook her head when I approached her. And I will say, even on an energetic level, she has beautiful hair, and it moved incredibly as she shook her head. Now, she chose not to speak at all, but rather showed me that she has been trying to, quote, bring it all back, end quote. And the way in which she had showed it to me was, imagine, if you will, a fishing rod pulling catch in. So she's trying to reel something back in to herself. What is that something? She does not want so much information out there about her anymore. Not since becoming a mom. And her priorities have really changed. And she is also enjoying a slower and nicer, more relaxed pace, and speaking with me would disrupt her peace. That's what I got for you on Eva Longoria. Any questions or comments, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person's energy that I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Jessica Chastain. She too has won an Academy Award. Now, again, to win an Academy Award, whether or not we're buying into what Jennifer Lawrence had shared at the top, which is like, we can't possibly know what these actors or actresses have to do to win these awards. Is it really the character development, or is it the fact that they are in the club? But Jessica had revealed something to me I had never in fact seen before. Wild. I share it with you. So Jessica Chastain has gotten semi-naked in front of a lot of men. So I was like, yeah, girl, you're an actress. You've been on set a bunch of times. That's not what she meant. She's also not been nude. Lacy and skimpy lingerie, yes. Naked, no. Here's where it took a rather unusual turn. She would slip something into the men's drink to knock them out. She would then leave a note she would put on lipstick, and then she would kiss the piece of paper. So she would leave a kissed lipstick stain on a piece of paper saying what a great night she had had. And then they would wake up in the morning with hazy memories of her getting undressed and her note. And they would think that something had gone down. But in fact, the only thing that had gone down was them getting robbed of their private information. Once they were down and out for the count, she would go to work and quickly tap into their electronic devices and go through everything. Sometimes they would have something, and sometimes she would leave with nothing. But she did the job, and she was good at it. She is not, in fact, in case you were wondering, at this point, a so-called Hollywood courtesan. Now, to understand more about this, go back and watch the segment linked down below on Kate Beckinsale to learn more about what a Hollywood courtesan is. Because Jessica Chastain is not one of them. This is, in fact, what the discerning clients thought they were paying for. But what they were, in fact, paying for was to get robbed. But they thought they were getting one of Hollywood elites, an Academy Award winner, no less. But no. She was incredibly expensive, so really only a certain type could afford her. And that usually meant they worked in either tech, or they were military leaders from another country, or they were royalty. Usually, the royalty from another country had nothing of interest to share, but money was still money, especially when she never, in fact, had to sleep with them. In her experience, the techies were the best because they had a lot of good information that she was acquiring off of them. Now, it's at this point that it seemed like she actually caught herself and realized I was connected to her energy and that she was sharing all of this with me. So she had put up a mental shield around herself, and she stopped sharing anything of importance, and she started to think about groceries or getting her nails done. And this was all done to block me out of what she had in fact just been sharing. And then she gave me a closed lip and completely fake and inauthentic smile. Kind of like the one you give to somebody when you don't like them. And she said she refused to give me anything else. However, I had already seen enough to know that acting is her day job, but it's not actually her only job. And she is part of something much, much bigger and something sinister, just as George Clooney is. Now that, of course, led me to look into George Clooney right thereafter. Now, this is where I'm going to say that concludes the segment with Jessica Chastain. If you've watched that segment, keep watching this one to see what George Clooney's energy shared with me. So, George Clooney, and by the way, if you are you're hopping around segment to segment, and you just clicked on George Clooney and you haven't seen the one right before this one on Jessica Chastain, go back, watch that one, then you can follow through and you can watch this George Clooney segment. Please do not watch this segment without watching Jessica Chastain first to add additional context and information to what had come in on George Clooney, okay? Now, George Clooney, as soon as I had connected to his energy, he tells me he's kissed a lot of women. He's seduced a lot of women. But one thing he's never done is kissed and tell. And he is not about to start now. No matter how cute I was. And I was like, George Clooney, you think I'm cute? No, I actually wasn't like that at all. None of their flattery or lip service means anything to me, especially not a fucking actor who gets paid to pretend. But, so he was not about to start now, no matter how so-called cute I was. Sycophant, I remind you. But he did concede there is a subset of Hollywood whose actors are not, in fact, just actors. And they are not courtesans either. But the tell is there. The tell is always there. One just has to look to see the signs. But he did not expand to me on what those signs are. So I'm going to give you 2% personal opinion, and I'm going to say the tell is there if you look at the kind of movies that they themselves are either cast in or the kind of movies they themselves are producers of. Because both Jessica as well as George have been in movies that would seem to perhaps indicate something like this. Now, George Clooney's movie is, I can't remember it offhand. I will look it up. I will try to look it up. I'll try to remember to look it up is a better way of saying it. And I'll put it down in the description down below in the segment on George Clooney. Because I don't remember the name of the movie, but he had been in a fantastic movie. I think it's a movie he had won an Academy Award for, but I'm not sure if it was for supporting actor or something else. But he's been in a movie that seemed to have been a tell, and Jessica Chastain has also been in a movie that seemed to have also been some sort of a tell. So this is my 2% personal opinion, that I think what he was saying, even though he didn't say it, the tell that he is talking about is the kind of movies that they themselves have either been cast in or they have been a producer on. Okay, back to George Clooney. Now, George had also shared with me they are also exempt from his words, quote, other bullshit, end quote, that the sycophants have to do in order to gain entry into the club, because while they are part of the Hollywood industry, they are not, in fact, part of the club. So the awards they win have nothing to do with what they had to so-called, these are my words, with what they so-called had to pay to play. It's separate. They are getting awarded, their Academy Award is not, in fact, because they are part of the club. They are part of the industry, but they are in a separate faction of the industry. So their award is an award for something else, but it's not because they are in the club. This is according to what George Clooney had shared with me. So why are they then getting an Academy Award or a BAFTA or any other award that they receive? It is, in fact, an award for their service, especially if they had completed an especially challenging mission. So I asked if they are spies. And George, so I thought it was spies because I was thinking about Betty Page and what had come in a previous AMA, yes, link down below, in which I had looked into Betty Page. So I was thinking about Betty Page with everything that he was sharing to me. And he just smiled and he said, quote, something like that, end quote. So despite his earlier protests of not sharing with me anything, he seemed apt to share more. And he certainly did not make any move to shut down communication with me as Jessica Chastain had. So I asked him if they are recruited or if they ask to join this other faction that's a part of the industry but not the club. And he said they are always recruited. And once they are recruited, they never ask any questions. So I asked how many years he has been at it. I thought it was in it, but I wasn't sure if he's in it or he's at it. Because again, like if you're in the club, you're in the club. But because this is a separate faction and it's not a part of the club, but it's a part of the industry, I myself wasn't sure if he's actually in it, if it's something to be in or it's something that you do. That's why I asked him how long he's been at it, because that seemed like a safer choice. And again, Mercury's in retrograde, so yeah, of course my mind was all over the place. And I was like, is it in it? Is it at it? I don't even know. And he had said, quote, years, end quote. So I asked him if Amal, his wife, knows about it, and he smiled and said, quote, that is where you lose me, end quote, end quote. And it was at this point he himself did shut down the communication. So that is what I have for you on George Clooney and Jessica Chastain. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress who has crossed over many years ago by the name of Dana or Dana Plato. Now, she was in a show that I had watched when I was a wee little thing. What was the name of it? It was Moving On Up to the East Side. Don't remember the name of the show. That was the music that was on the front segment of the show. And it was, I think, about a guy who adopted two kids, and they were moving on up to the East Side, and they were then living with his daughter, his genetic daughter. His daughter. The daughter was played by Dana or Dana Plato. Now she, anecdotally I remember, after the show had concluded, she had like an addiction problem, and then I believe she had actually unalived herself. If I'm mistaken, please comment down below and let me know. I know you guys that are not the Agent Smiths, you catch me and you always correct me, and I'm very grateful for that. So if you actually know something that I don't know about her, feel free to comment and let me know. Very, very short segment. This is what her energy chose to share with me. She was a tortured soul. And all she wanted to share was how happy she was to be on the other side. That is it. That is all she wanted to share with me. I think it's because she was so tortured, such a tortured soul, and what she had experienced and endured, she doesn't even want to talk about it now that she's on the other side. So that's what I got for you on Dana or Dana Plato. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person's energy that I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Farrah Abraham. And Farrah had rose to fame on an MTV series called 16 and Pregnant, which had followed the lives of 4 teenagers around 16 years old once they had become pregnant and decided to keep their baby. Farrah Abraham complained it's, quote, not meant to be this way, end quote. And, again, quote, this is not what was promised, end quote, to her. but she refused to expand on why it was not meant to be this way, or what was in fact promised to her that was not being kept. And when I said to her, I have no idea what you're talking about, she rolled her eyes and stalked away from me. So that's what I have for you on Farrah Abraham. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is something called energetic cellular regeneration. No idea what this is. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say it has something to do with cellular regeneration and energy. Aren't I clever? So let's see what I was able to ascertain about energetic cellular regeneration. So first and foremost, if anyone is wondering, or specifically the person who had asked this question, or if you look into it and you're like, "Ooh, that looks good, I wonder if it's real." It's real. And it is possible. However, it has to do with a number of factors. And these are the factors. Number one, are there any energetic blockages currently in the body? If so, you want to best get the energy moving. So if, for example, one is constantly constipated, they would first have to get the bowels moving. If one has a subluxation in the spine, they would need to see a chiropractor. Because a lot of what calls for a cellular regeneration in the first place is in fact stagnant energy in the body. So before you pursue energetic cellular regeneration, first, try to get the energy moving in the body. Second, you address that first, so then you can, two, take up a practice such as yoga or Tai Chi, as those are practices that move energy through the body. Three, drink enough mineralized water, not plain water, mineralized water. That is specifically what came in. Number four, once a person has implemented 1 through 3, such as first moving the energy through the body, and one methodology of moving the energy through the body is a practice such as yoga or Tai Chi, or drinking enough mineralized water. So once you have implemented all of those practices, then a person can pursue the energetic cellular regeneration. But what was also shared with me is that one need not spend a lot of money to do so, because we can find healing frequency music that we like or that resonates with us, and we can listen to it. And start with, this is what was shown to me, start with 1 hour per day, and to build up to playing it overnight while one sleeps. Now, what was also shown to me is that this frequency healing music will also pair very well with the Ho'opono practice. This is some sort of a Hawaiian meditation. It's 4 lines, super short, super easy. I'm going to share it with you. You can either say it, or you can find a playlist where they have set it to beautiful music. I know I've actually recommended, this has come up in sessions that I've done with people, to play this while they sleep, and it is incredibly beneficial in healing. So this is what the Ho'opono practice is. Either you can say it, or you can have a playlist where you're hearing this. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Now, this is not necessarily where you're apologizing to another person. It could actually be, in fact, where we are apologizing to ourselves, especially if we are incredibly self-critical, or we judge ourselves, or we think we are not enough, or we don't do enough. We can also just be apologizing to ourselves on some level, or the inner child version of ourselves that has not yet been healed. So very, very beneficial practice. That's what I have for you on energetic cellular regeneration. Any questions or comments, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into, literally, this is what they had said to me. Super short segment. This is the singer Usher, and he had said to me, quote, "Not in this lifetime," end quote. So he unequivocally does not consent to coming into me or having me read his energy. Any questions or comments on Usher, please do comment down below. The next topic I was actually looking, fucking Mercury in retrograde. The next topic I was asked to look into is latent powers and abilities. Now I'm going to share with you what these so-called, like this is my wheelhouse. I don't even need fucking notes for this. Latent powers and abilities is that we all have, all of us, gifts and abilities. Now, these can be of the extrasensory kind, such as energy reading or mediumship, things of that nature. But our gifts and abilities are not only restricted to ESP. Some of us can be naturally gifted when it comes to sports. Some of us can be naturally gifted when it comes to music. So we all have latent gifts and abilities inside of ourselves, whether they are of the supernatural flavor or of the three-dimensional flavor. We all have them. So let's see what I was able to share with you about our latent powers, gifts, and abilities. So first and foremost, do we all have them? Yes. Unequivocally, yes. However, in varying degrees and varying abilities. But the short answer is yes. So then the question becomes, why are they latent? And this is for a number of reasons. So first and foremost, have we agreed to welcome them in and to work with them in this lifetime? Maybe when you were putting together crafting before you were incarnated into this lifetime, when you were crafting the experiences you were going to have, did you agree to have them come in? Do you want them to come in? Or maybe you had just crossed out of a lifetime in which you were super psychic and you were super connected and you were like, you know what? I want to take a break. I don't want to have any psychic gifts and abilities in this next lifetime. Because we are, I remind you, the cosmic creator of our reality. So, did we agree to welcome them in and work with them in this lifetime? If the answer is yes, what may we have done, either consciously or unknowingly, that has blocked them from coming in? Have we asked not to connect to them? Are we doing something with our lifestyle, such as drinking tap water? Or not clearing our energy that can be blocking it? Because drinking tap water blocks our pineal gland. That's our third eye. So if you're still drinking tap water, stop. I have a segment in a previous AMA linked down below on how you can decalcify your pineal gland. That's your third eye. We want to have a decalcified pineal gland if you want to welcome in latent gifts and abilities. All right, so that's the first question. Are we doing something with our lifestyle, such as drinking tap water or not clearing our energy, that can be blocking it? Do we drink alcohol or smoke, either cigarettes or weed? Do we engage in hookup culture or watch pornography? Because all of those things will pull us down and away from connecting to our latent gifts and abilities. And another big one is fast food. So if you are currently eating fast food, this is an invitation to break up with it. If we are in fact doing good on all of those fronts, I'm going to remind you, may still have chosen not to experience certain latent gifts and abilities in any particular lifestyle, in any particular lifetime. This is just like some people have decided not to wake up in this current life. So if you feel like you're banging your head against the wall, trying to get people to wake up and they're not waking up, please understand they have made a choice not to wake up. So maybe it is best to conserve your energy and take it elsewhere and not to be externally focused on trying to wake up those that don't want to be woken up. Now, this is, however, also I'm going to share with you, we can, however, change not lifetimes. If you're here, you're here. We can actually change the trajectory of our own particular life. So if you think that perhaps you have decided you did not want to experience your latent gifts and abilities in this lifetime, you can declare that you do in fact want to, and then start a meditation practice to bring it in. Now, I also have a ancient video from like close to 2 years ago, I would say. Bad lighting, you know, not like a good ring light. The background wasn't as nice as this one. The shelf probably looked crooked, even though it wasn't. This shelf was it was put up with a level. This shelf is straight. If it doesn't look straight, it's because I wasn't editing the video. That shelf is straight. But if you're okay with watching a version of me where the lighting is not so good and the shelf doesn't look straight, even though it is, I have a video linked down below on how to work with your own particular gifts and abilities. Start there, and then if you also would like to book a session with me, I have a special session specifically on how to work with your particular gifts and abilities and what you can do to welcome it in. So that's what I got for you on latent gifts and abilities. Any further questions, please do let me know down below. This next one is a fascinating question, something I never would have even thought to have looked into. Another reason I love doing these AMAs, because you guys bring me such interesting topics, which is, was there somebody's energy I could not read because they weren't or aren't real? Love this, fascinating. And the answer is yes. And who is this person? King Arthur. This is because I had watched a great movie with the actor Charlie Hunnam, directed by Guy Ritchie. I think it's called King Arthur. Guys, if you haven't seen this movie, it is so fun. I seriously highly recommend watching it. But this is a movie on King Arthur. So I had watched this movie, and after watching it, I was so curious, and I actually had spent more time than I want to share with you on trying to connect to King Arthur's energy. But here's the thing, every time I tried to connect, I kept coming up empty. And I was like, what's going on here? Because here's the thing, whether somebody's on this side or the other side, I can still pick up some sort of there's a representation of the person's energy. If they've crossed over and they're on the other side, it's a much more subtle representation of the energy. So it's more akin to the light of a candle than akin to the light of a torch. When someone's on this side, their energy is more akin to the light of a torch. So if someone has ever been, there's some sort of an energetic remnant of them that me as an energy reader, I can pick up on them. Now, this is why I can also say when people are asking me, you know, is Princess Kate alive or has she crossed over? This is how I can tell you unequivocally she's on this side. I can feel the blueprint of her energy, and it's much bigger than it would be if she had crossed over. But when I was trying to look into King Arthur, I couldn't get nothing. I couldn't get the blueprint of anything or remain anything. So this is when I had Googled him to see if he was in fact real. Because I can always pick up on something, and here there was nothing. And what I had come to understand while researching King Arthur is there is no evidence that an actual so-called King Arthur ever existed, but he may have been an amalgamation of other people that did exist. And historically, they kind of just compiled all of these different people to come up with a representation of a so-called King Arthur. But he never actually existed. Now, also, this I found to be really, really fascinating. And it's not just because I'm sharing it. Also, something that was interesting that had come in is while there was no King Arthur per se, this is wild, his sword is in fact real. So what's the legend of King Arthur? The sword's name was the Excalibur, and it was stuck in stone. And the only person that could pull the sword from the stone was King Arthur, because it was his birthright to have that sword, and that's how he became king, because he wasn't king before he was reunited with the sword. There's no King Arthur. There is, however, a sword. And this is what was shown to me about the sword. Until recently, the sword has in fact been in the possession of the Vatican. Now, I have done a members-only video on the Vatican in which I have expanded far more into this, so I'm not going to do it here. And yes, if you want to share my membership and get access to that video on the Vatican and other great content, there'll be a link down below. But until recently, the sword was in the possession of the Vatican, and it vibrates, and it cannot be held nor touched directly by anybody. And it is therefore in a box and kept safe for transportation at all times. And it's because of the vibration, people cannot get too close to it. So people cannot get too close to it because of the vibration that it emits. And this is why when it's not in transportation, it is actually kept in its own separate and distinct room that has soundproofing around in the walls of that room, because the vibration is so intense that people literally can feel it, and it feels like they're vibrating. It feels like it's like a buzz. And what was shown to me is that the reason that it emits such a high vibration, not that it itself vibrates. It's not like if anyone touched it and they put their hand on it, their hand would suddenly start to shake. It emits, if you will, a vibration like sound waves coming off of it that prevents people from getting too close to it, because the sound wave and the vibration that it emits is so unpleasant, nobody can in fact even get close enough to pick it up. So it itself does not vibrate, but it emits some sort of vibration. And the reason that it vibrates is because it is seeking its owner, who is not King Arthur. And who is its owner? It is the one that feels called to it and heeds the call, and that can in fact get close to it, because the vibration that is meant to keep those that it does not belong to away from it will not affect the owner. And the owner, the vibration, instead of acting as a repellent, will act as it will draw that person in. It will act as an attraction, because like calls to like. Like attracts like. If you're not meant to pick up the sword, it's going to repel you. But when you are the owner, the rightful heir, if you will, of that sword, that vibration is going to actually act as some sort of an attraction. So whoever the sword actually belongs to will heed its call and will be able to get close enough to it and to lift it, and they will not be driven away by the energy that is coming off of it, because the energy is not meant to repel them, it's meant to attract them. So only that person will be able to pick it up, and it will cease to vibrate in a repellent way for them when it has been found, and when it would be considered to be whole again. Now, when I tried to see who this person may in fact be, like who's the rightful heir, who's the owner of it, I was told, quote, "He's not here right now," end quote. So I took this to mean, because I was told he's just not here right now, that either the person hasn't been reunited with it yet, or the person is not currently born and alive at this point, or he is not, lastly, on the earth plane. Because maybe that person is off on other planes doing other things, and that's why he's not here right now. So it's either because he is not currently alive on this earth, maybe he hasn't been born yet, or it's because he's not on the earth plane at this time. And it was also shown that there may be one in every couple of generations that will be some sort of a match for it. So it's not like there's like only one person that can be a match. There's probably a great number of potential people that can be in energetic match for that sword. But whoever it is, he's not here right now, and the fictitious King Arthur wasn't him either. So that is what I have for you on anything you wanted to know or not know about King Arthur and the Excalibur, or if there was somebody's energy that I could not read because they weren't or aren't real. Any questions on that, please let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is, was there a reset after mud floods? Now, a reset is, and what is a mud flood? They're actually discovering now that there's locations all around the globe, literally everywhere around the globe, in which there are levels and layers beneath the street of particular buildings or houses. So houses, like people's private houses, they're even now discovering that there's like different floors under their basement floor with tunnels that go to other locations. And there's like other buildings all around the world that they're digging up the street and they're discovering it's like, there's like another 10 stories to this building that go way the fuck down. And it's like, and then there's a lot of people that are also like hypothesizing and speculating that there's ruins around the world, like even part of, what do you call it? The Grand Canyon. And even Zion National Park in, what state is that here in the US? One of them states here in the desert region. I'm so insightful. I'm so helpful, aren't I? I mean, this is why I have notes. But Zion, there's actually ruins in like Zion National Park as well that people are saying could be the remnants of some sort of like a reset or a mud flood. So let's see what was shown to me about all of that jazz. So was there a reset after a mud flood? No, but not for the reasons you may think. Not after, because the mud flood itself was the reset. And it has happened many times, and not just with mud, but also fires. Some of it was intentional, and some of it was negligence or human error. Like, oh, look, we have these cool new tools, and I wonder what will happen if I press this button here. However, the intentional ones are done to suppress or deny us of our history and to energetically cut us off or to cut us down. This may also explain why the negligence has happened, because if they wish to keep society down, it lowers the general IQ, as does drinking fluoridated tap water. It lowers the general IQ, and those that they themselves wish to employ are an energetic match for they themselves. But I was also shown that the mud flood and the fires are not the only notable things to pay attention to. So first and foremost, notice the way in which we are told how we came to be. Big Bang Theory? Anyone? So we have the Big Bang and scientific theory over God and creation. It's evolution and evolving from fucking amoebas millions of years ago to being divinely created. Okay. So again, Big Bang and scientific theory over God and creation. Because those concepts too were shown to me as permeating deep into the psyche and the subconscious of people. And it's because we are denied the knowledge and the truth of our divinity. It's like, imagine, if you will, being told by your parents, we got pregnant on accident, we didn't even mean to have you. How that would make you feel. Versus your parents telling you, we prayed for you every day, we wanted you so badly, and we're so happy to have you. That's gonna make a big fucking difference in the way one person feels about their existence in the world. Now imagine the psyche of millions of people, billions of people globally. Oh no, you're an accident, you evolved from an amoeba. Versus God saying to his children, I love you all so much, I created this world for you to then create in because you have a spark of divinity already inside of you. So we're basically told we're all happy little accidents. That sucks. No wonder so many of us are miserable. We evolved from amoebas. So we're basically being told that we are accidents, and thus we are devoid of our connection to the divine. And this was shown to me as being just as important, if not more important, than our history being suppressed and withheld from us. However, you guys know I do not do ever productive videos, but I will share with you what has consistently come in is not to worry, God wins. Not because we evolved from fucking amoebas and there is no God, because we're all happy little accidents, but because guess the fuck what, guys? Newsflash, we were not happy little accidents. We were put here, we were created, this earth was created for us to actually create in. So God wins, and we are all God's children, and we will all have our renaissance and a reveal of the truth. So that is what I have for you on mud floods and resets. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Robert Redford. Now, Robert Redford is also what I would consider to be an old-timer. He was definitely part of the movie industry long before it had been infiltrated. Let's see what Robert's energy wanted to share with me. Robert Redford is glad to have had a career, or he would have really found aging to be a drag. Yes, it affects men too, because he has eyes, he's not blind, and he knew once upon a time he was incredibly good looking. He was so different back then, however, he acknowledges, and the world was so different back then, but it is what it is. So he's mostly content to live the life of a hermit and to ride the waves of change and to leave the world to the young kids. Definitely to leave the industry to the young kids. Because he has heard how the industry has changed, and he is not, in fact, terribly surprised. He wishes he could say he is surprised, however. You get a bunch of good-looking and deeply wounded people together, and they are just rife to be corrupted. And it is what it is. He has had his heyday. He has had his fun. He's more or less an old man now, and almost no one pays him any heed. Sure, sometimes they bust his ass for no apparent reason, but he understands that it is just a power play. No one really wants anything from him, but it makes them feel better to occasionally bust his ass, so he allows it. He also shared he is flattered anyone still cares about an old-timer like him, and he wishes us all well. That is what I have for you on Robert Redford. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person's energy I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Stephen Baldwin. Now, as the name implies, Baldwin, he's one of the Baldwin brothers. Now, interesting and notable is the fact that at least 3 of the 4 Baldwin brothers have all been actors. There's Alec, there's Stephen, and then there's One of the other ones whose name I forgot right now. Notable, one could say. So let's see what Stephen's energy wanted to share with me. Stephen Baldwin did what he was told. He was told they were an acting family and he was to follow in the family footsteps and act. Didn't matter if he was a particularly good actor or not. Didn't matter if he enjoyed it. This is what the family did because they were like Hollywood royalty. Did anyone stop and, this is Stephen asking me rhetorically, did anyone stop and think how incredibly rare it is for 3 kids in one family to all be actors in Hollywood? It's like a near impossibility, or certainly like a high improbability. And he shared that was no coincidence. Did anyone stop and realize how even Hailey too, Hailey Baldwin, now Bieber, married to Justin, how Hailey too is even having her heyday? None of this is an accident and it is all by design. But somebody else's design, and certainly not his, because he done what he was told. He was told to go in one direction and he did. They weren't raised to ask questions, but to do as they were told, and they all did it to some degree. Except for Alec. This is Stephen sharing, except for Alec. Because Alec was always a loose cannon and frankly, a prick. And even if Alec hadn't been told to go into the industry, he would have, because he loved the attention. I would say that Stephen has a good handle on his brother. And even if they weren't the kind of family that made things happen, Alec would never have stopped until he got what he wanted, because that's Alec. And he's really glad he is no Alec, because he is perfectly content being the runt of the family. Life is so much easier as the runt of the Baldwin family because people tend to expect less from him, and that suits him perfectly fine. Less trouble for him to get into as he began to see cracks in the facade. And since almost no one paid him any mind anyway, he peeked behind those cracks and he was floored. He didn't need to live like other people to know something was seriously fucked up, and this wasn't right by any extent of the word. So he kept his eyes open, and he saw as much as he could, but no matter how awake and aware he is, he still does feel sometimes that he has a hard time differentiating what's okay from what is not okay, because part of it is so deeply ingrained in him from his upbringing. So he speaks out in small amounts as he himself becomes more and more comfortable. And yeah, he does get his balls busted from time to time, but he's gotten really good at not listening to the noise of others. So that is what I have for you on the self-identified runt of the Baldwin family, Stephen Baldwin. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this is a short one. I was next asked to look into the actress by the name of Diane Keaton, and she flat out refused to speak with me. She held up her hands in front of her face like this, like she was hiding from the paparazzi. I mean, kind of apropos, because as I have been called by Nicole Richie, I am an energetic tabloid writer. But she was holding her hands up in front of her face like this, and she was going, no, 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 no. Because she does not, according to her quote, spill the beans. So that is what I have for you on Diane Keaton. Any questions on her, please do let me know down below. The next person's energy that I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Faith Hill. Now, Faith Hill is married to Tim McGraw, and I think she started off as a country singer, and actually I think she was maybe always a country singer. Let's see what Faith's energy wanted to share with me. Faith Hill is having a hard time with aging. She knows that's not what one is supposed to say, because we're supposed to pull things from deep inside of ourselves that bring us joy and make us multi-layered. But this is the truth. She's having a hard time with aging. It's hard, and it's made harder from seeing her girls entering the golden period of their own lives and coming into their own beauty while the sun is setting on hers. Maybe it wouldn't be this hard for her if there wasn't so much out there about how she used to look and how she now looks. But the world, and certainly the industry, works that way. Youth and beauty based. Youth and beauty obsessed. And yeah, she knows it's part of life, the growing up and the growing old, but it's one thing to know it, and it's quite another to live it. So she does little things here and there just to stave off the worst of it. She's talking about like minor cosmetic procedures. Just enough to stave off the worst of it, but hopefully not enough to change her face too much. But it is still hard, and it never feels like it's enough. She knows there's more she could do, but she did not want to go down that path, and she's glad she stuck to it. What path is this, you may be wondering? She kind of dances around it, but I think you'll be able to ascertain what she means here. Because according to her, it's better to be old and to own your soul than to look young and be a prisoner forever. Take that, Jennifer Lawrence. This comes from somebody in the industry, not somebody that's not in the industry. But do not expect her to say more about what she knows. She may have complained about getting old, but at least she's alive to complain about it, and she wants to keep it that way. So that is what I have for you on Faith Hill. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic that I was asked to look into, super short, literally one word. I was asked to look into the actor Leslie Nielsen, and he refused. That's what I have for you on Leslie Nielsen. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this next one is also super short. I was asked to look into the actor by the name of Eddie Murphy, and this is what he chose to share with me. Eddie Murphy says he will not bite the hand that feeds him, and he will not speak about, quote, them, end quote. So I ask if he wants to say anything about his life or his career, and he says he has had a good one, and that is that. That's what I have for you on Eddie Murphy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Ricki Martin. Let's see what Ricki's energy wanted to share with me. Ricki Martin hurts for the little kid he was when he first became a singer. He was thrust into it because he was young, cute, and had talent, and his family was ambitious enough to do anything to give them, not him, to give them a better life. Unscrupulous parents do the same thing all the time. Either, this is Ricki concluding, either because they are narcissistic or ambitious, or see their kid as their meal ticket, and this was certainly the case for him. Now, he also shared with me he is not from a club family, but rather he was pushed into it because he showed an aptitude for it. So he was pushed into it because of his innate talent. So singing, performing, and basically, he's acknowledging he was pimped out. By his family. Pushed into it. Not because he was born into it. Basically, his parents sold him out. His family sold him out so they could have a better life. So singing and performing is in fact all he knows. So he's kind of like thinking out loud. And he says, could he realistically do something else? Yeah. But like, how pathetic would it be for him to get a regular 9-to-5 job only for people to ask him all the time if he's Ricki Martin the singer? He hasn't exactly lived like a quiet life. He's lived a rather large and extravagant life. Like, okay, how do you exactly go from that to being like, I don't know, Ricki from accounting? You don't. So from his point of view, better to be in the industry where everyone knows him and they all get it. No explanation is necessary. Or at least that is what he tells himself for not actually leaving and trying something new, or trying to be regular, or so-called normal. But his family would have disowned him for that. The only way to get their approval that he wasn't even sure that he wanted anymore was to stay relevant, to perform and to record, to be somebody, to do something. And it was in fact exhausting to feel continuously like he has to prove himself, because hadn't he done that already? Actually, no, not to them he hasn't. So he has his little rebellions, taking time off and living privately, and not whoring himself out to the newspapers. It's all he can do to feel like at least some piece belongs to himself. Because Lord knows how little of himself and his own body belonged to him when he was growing up. So that is what I have for you on Ricki Martin. Any further questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Owen Wilson. And I will share with you 2% personal opinion, because frankly, it's my channel and it's my video and I can. I never really got why Owen Wilson was an actor. So I'm really glad somebody asked for me to look into him, because now I actually understand how he made it into the industry. So he has been in a bunch of movies, and let's see what Owen's energy wanted to share with me. Owen Wilson always felt like a fish out of water in the industry. He didn't really belong, and he knew he didn't really belong, and he always felt like a regular guy who happened to wander in off the street and onto a movie set, and that happened to be a movie set that was short one actor. And like manna from heaven, he happened to just show up, so they cast him. Because he was good enough. So they cast him again. And because he was still good enough, or funny enough, they cast him again. But he was an outsider, that was for sure. Because he recognizes he has a fucked up nose that looked like he had been hit in the face with a door that had flattened it. He wasn't too good an actor either. So he guessed he was some sort of an experiment, and he went with it as long as he could. He wasn't too far off the mark, because you may have recalled from a previous AMA in which I had looked into Vince Vaughn, at one time Hollywood was in fact doing some sort of an experiment where they were casting the not so good looking but funny actors. It was just an experiment at that time. So Owen Wilson is not that far off the mark. Just as Vince Vaughn had been part of a time where they were casting the not very good looking but the funny actors for so-called diversity, Owen was part of that as well. I think he actually started a movie with Vince Vaughn. Because here's the thing, Owen recognizes he wasn't anyone's type. They weren't even sure he was America's type, but they were happy to try, and he did have some success. He was more akin to the regular Joe, and that was the agenda at that time. And there is always some agenda. And that was it then. He did, however, say that Luke, his brother, he has a brother, Luke Wilson, that was also in the industry for a hot minute. Luke, however, was the good-looking one, and yeah, Luke did some shit, but it's not for Owen to tell me about it. Now you might be wondering if, hey Faye, Owen just tag teamed Luke. Was I able to look into Luke's energy? No. Because when I tried to connect to Luke's energy, he shook his head at me and told me no. So that is what I have for you on Owen and maybe even Luke Wilson. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Al Pacino, another old timer that has been in Hollywood for fucking ever, a very, very celebrated actor. I'm sure he's won a bunch of Academy Awards. Let's see what Al's energy wanted to share with me. Al Pacino has had a golden period being in Hollywood. He was the so-called front version and truly involved in making movies. Because again, when he got into the Hollywood industry, there was no club as we know it today. So he has had, if you will, a prolonged golden period where he has really only been involved with the movie making side, the cover, the front version of Hollywood. However, he did point out, this is not to say that he didn't know what was going on, because of course he did. But when he started acting, the industry was not corrupted or overrun as it is now. Back then, the actors were just actors and the industry just made movies. There was no agenda. There was no actors being mouthpieces. It was just about creating entertainment. True, there was always a casting couch, and it always was different for women, but as a not particularly good-looking but very talented actor, he had it good. So that is what I have for you on Al Pacino. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now I'm going to skip a bunch of pages because this is where I had channeled Ed Kemper. Fascinating video, which if you have not seen, I recommend going back and watching it. And the next topic I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of, I think she's a singer, by the name of Kelly Rowland. Now this is a really, really interesting one. Here's why. And I even wrote interesting. Kelly Rowland, her energy is very interesting because I intellectually know who Kelly Rowland is. But here's the thing. Her energy does not come into me. Not even a tiny little bit. Now this is again where I'm going to say this is highly unlikely. And this will typically tend to only happen, like if you haven't seen that segment on was I not able to connect to or to read somebody's energy, go back and watch that segment. That's really only happened to me one time, and it was because the outcome of that was that the person whose energy I was trying to look into was not in fact a real person. Because whether somebody has crossed over or they're on this side, there's always some sort of an energy that I can pick up on them. Not Kelly Rowland. So let's see why that is the case. I was not able to pick up on anything on Kelly, not any of the times that I've tried to connect with her. Not even if she was on the other side, right? Because if she was on the other side, if she already crossed over, there would be some energy to connect to. But with Kelly Rowland, there's a complete void. But this is a different kind of void than the void I had picked up on when I was asked to look into Billie Eilish. The void on Kelly Rowland feels like on her part, she doesn't know who she is. That's why she doesn't respond to her name any of the times that I have gone looking for her. So this to me is an indication of the fact that she has either been mentally scrambled, a la MK Ultra mind control, and therefore she doesn't know that she's Kelly Rowland. So when I try to connect to her by the name Kelly Rowland, because that's how I'm an energy reader, give me a person's name, give me the 3D representation of them, and I can find their energy. Kelly Rowland, she doesn't respond to her name. So it's either because she has been mentally scrambled, a la MK Ultra mind control, and she doesn't know her name is Kelly Rowland, or she has been mentally or energetically shut down, as in a coma. So I think she maybe has been in some kind of an accident, and that's why her energy does not respond to me. Alternatively, another option, I give you all and I let you decide for yourself, she could be in the process of being cloned. And that's because the original Kelly is no longer with us. However, there is a kernel of her awareness that remains for the cloning purposes. But it's not enough for any level of self-awareness to remain. So that is what I have for you on Kelly Rowland. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is Steve Jobs, who is, I believe, the founder of the technology company Apple. So thanks, Steve, because I'm actually recording on an Apple iPhone right now. So this is what Steve Jobs' energy wanted to share with me. Steve Jobs he's unalive. I think he had cancer a number of years ago and he's crossed over. So he's communicating with me from the other side. So Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave. Okay, not literally, but if he could, he would. This is Steve's effort to actually be funny because he's not really a funny guy. So where to start? This is him saying to me, okay, where do I start? Where to start? Okay, first, Apple. His baby. What the fuck have they done to his baby? This is him asking. He mourns for the apparent lack of direction and guidance they now have, or they don't have. And this is why he was so unrelenting when he was alive. Because big companies, according to Steve, need guidance and a strong hand at the helm. So he felt a sense of responsibility that clearly no one feels about it today. And that is sad. He wishes he could do something about it, or can do something about it, but he can't. And not just because he isn't alive, but also because, believe it or not, he doesn't have any attachment to it. So yes, believe it or not, what he just said about Apple being his baby and where to start, that is him not having any attachment. So imagine how much attachment he had when he was alive. He was that intense. So this is him having a so-called bird's eye view of things, and him even saying, my baby, as he refers to Apple, was more akin to the fact of it than him fully feeling any level of ownership or attachment to it on the other side. He can now recognize that, yeah, he used to be an asshole. Some might even say a huge asshole, and they would be right. He was. He took way too many things too seriously, himself included. He was not always a nice guy or a likable guy, but he was a visionary, and there is something to be said for that. Because not everybody comes in to the world to make friends or to bake cookies for their kids' school and to be on the PTA board. Some people come in to push humanity forward, and he knows he did. And if it wasn't in this particular lifetime being Steve Jobs, it would have been another one, because he did not come in to be mediocre. But it wasn't for him. He didn't come to not be mediocre for himself. It was for us. Starseed vibes. Because every generation needs the renegades that hold up a torch and lead us forward through the darkness. And that was him. So according to him, you're welcome. So that is what I have for you on Steve Jobs. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is, I think, a singer and a producer by the name of Pharrel Williams. So let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Pharrel or Pharrel, because I don't know how to pronounce his name, his energy holds his pointer finger in front of his mouth like this, and he goes shh, to indicate he's not talking. He has a big smile on his face and a twinkle in his eye. And the way his energy chose to come into me is he is incredibly well dressed. And even energetically, he's got great skin, and it's obvious he takes care of himself. He tells me he likes nice things, and there is nothing wrong with that. So I ask him if that's why he joined the club. And he spreads his fingers wide with an open palm like this, but he does it with both hands. He's like this, to indicate he has nothing to hide, and tells me he doesn't know what I know about that. As in, what do I know about the club? So I tell him I know enough. He just smiles wide, and he shows me teeth and refuses to say anything else. He does, however, tell me I can walk around and see his house, but I can only look but not touch. Not that I in fact could touch, because energy. And also to not go looking for any secrets. But he granted me access, so guess what I did? I wander around energetically, of course, his massive home that is well decorated with a recording studio. And I see the cars and the nice furnishing and the clothes that he obviously loves. And I go, yeah, this is why he joined the club. But he joined to use it as a means to an end, so that he could get what he wanted, and he could live how he wanted. So it's not because it was like Doja Cat, where he was an energetic match for the club, and he's like, just show me where to sign, I want to be part of it so bad. He kind of approached it more logically, and it was like, okay, I got to do this to get that. All right, seemed like a fair trade to him. And it was at this point, I'm recognizing it, that I found myself wondering, what's worse? To join because you love it, a la Doja Cat, and you want to be a part of it? Or because you join it to get what you want out of life, or if it even matters? So you can weigh in, and you can let me know what you think. That is what I have for you on Pharrel or Pharrel Williams. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is actually two people, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Let's see what their energy wanted to share with me. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen are living large, literally. Everything they do is over the top and larger than life, including birthday parties for their kids. They have an enormous house, way larger than they in fact need, with massive bedrooms, with closets stuffed with more clothes than Chrissy could possibly wear in this lifetime. And this is just the way she likes it. Chrissy likes having a lot of things to validate her existence, because without it, she feels unimportant. So the bigger the cars, the home, the paychecks, the better. She also really likes knowing that other people know how big her house is, because they're special. Get it? Them. John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, they're special. They're special, not us. And also, they, not just John and Chrissy. They come together, and no one should ever forget she is married to John Legend, which is why he wrote that song for her. I think that song she's referencing is, he wrote a song a number of years ago that was an ode to Chrissy, and he's like, you're I don't even know. But that's the song she's referencing, the song in which she's so wonderful to him. So he wrote that song for her because according to her, we all should know just how much John loves her and how special she in fact is. And also how not special we in fact are. Because we don't have a John Legend writing songs like that for us. And oh God, this sets her down a trajectory of fear. She's like, oh God, her biggest fear is all about us being that special too. Because what would she do if we were all that special? She would call Barack for sure. She's talking about Barack Obama. She would call Barack for sure. He would know exactly what to do and would probably issue a press statement putting us down. That's what he did when he was president. Because he spent so much time putting us down and reminding us as Americans how awful we could in fact be. No. Being special is reserved for them, not for us. We're the unfortunate others that they have to share the world with. So at least they get to flaunt it in our face how far beneath them we are, according to them. We get what we deserve, living our small, insignificant lives, going to meager jobs to earn a meager living before we get dinner from Taco Bell. Ugh. We disgust her. She really doesn't hold any punches. She doesn't hold back. She's not holding any punches here. She's like, we disgust her. She does not understand how John can tolerate us. And he keeps reminding her, if not for us, then he, and he quickly caught himself because he knows, John knows his place and he knows he can't be like me, honey, me. So he caught himself. He said he, and then he caught himself and he said, they, if not for us, they would not have the life that they have. But she knows that's not true. They're elites. Obviously, they would be successful even if none of us bought his music. So she doesn't know why he tells her that. She sometimes thinks he must be lying to her, but then she remembers she knows John. Like she really knows John and knows his character. And he is the soft one and the sweet one, and she's the one with all the hard angles. But she always knew, despite their differences, they would be together. Because they were betrothed when they were young. Now I wonder why that would be. They were tied to one another. They were tied to one another. And she knew that they would always be together. And one day would even be officially. She always knew him and him always knew her. She really needs to up her, like, you're okay, Chrissy, you're in elite, but you can't even like speak grammatically correct. But she always knew him and him her, and he really does love her. She's so self-important. And she took this as an opportunity to remind us more than our spouses love us, that's for sure. Because I remind you, everything about them is just better. And we should not forget it. And if we do, don't worry, she will remind us about it at the next Met Gala. When they come breezing in like kings and queens, while the closest we get to royalty is a royal flush the next time we play cards. Now, in case it wasn't evidently clear why she knew they would always be together, it's because guess the fuck what, guys? They're both from club families. And they were betrothed when they were young, and even if that's not what we've been told is the reason or the way in which they met, they were betrothed when they were young. They are both from club families. Maybe that's going to explain Chrissy's rampant sense of entitlement. So that's what I got for you on John Legend and Chrissy Teigen. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic that I was asked to look into is somebody named Grace Kelly. She was a actress and she had married the Prince of Monaco back in I want to say maybe the 1950s or something like that. And she's crossed over a while now. She didn't share a lot. Let's see what her energy wanted to share with me. Grace Kelly does not wish to visit the earth plane, which is why she explains she did not come in when I have tried to make contact with her in the past. She thanks us for our interest in her, but she has moved on and she wishes to visit this place no more. So that is what I have for you on Grace Kelly. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is Paris Hilton. Now, Paris Hilton is an heir. She's an heiress. Her, I think, great-grandfather is Conrad Hilton, who founded and established the Hilton Hotel Company. So let's see, and Paris's sister, Nikki Hilton, married a Rothschild. Notable, one could say. So let's see what Paris's energy wanted to share with me. Paris Hilton is a cocky bitch. She grew up incredibly wealthy and privileged and knew whatever she wanted to do, she'd always have a seat at that table. Even if she decided to do something new every week, no matter, there would always be a seat at that particular table for people like her. So while she is in fact cocky and arrogant, it is not the same way that Chrissy Teigen is. Because Chrissy Teigen is so completely over the top and she hates us, well, Paris doesn't even think about it. Sure, she knows there's a world of people out there, but her circle is big enough with her own people, so why spend any time thinking outside of her own box? It's like, hey, I got my own coloring book. I don't need to be looking over at your coloring book and telling you you're doing a shit job coloring. It's like, I got my own coloring book. Now, she acknowledged she has a nice home, a nice life, nice things, and isn't that all that matters? So she doesn't have to gloat about real life over here, guys. So she doesn't have to gloat about it. She's always had a nice life with nice things. So what's exactly new? And her kid is fine, y'all. Like, she really wants everybody to know, because I know a couple of months ago, I think it was around Christmas time, she had shared a family picture with herself, her husband, and her kid, and people were like, what's wrong with her kid? His head is way too big. So she shared that her kid is fine, y'all. Can we just all calm down? Yes, she appreciates the concern, but it's in fact a little excessive from her point of view. And in case anyone was wondering, she does love her husband and they are good friends. Actually, they are really good friends. But she is asexual, as in she has no sexual appetite, one could say, and he is a homosexual. So there's a reason they had their child with a surrogate. But they do love each other and they will stay together no matter what, because that's what families like her do. Loyalty to the club first and foremost. And if you want to learn more about that, I have linked a segment down below in which I had looked into the elder Bush's energy. And he talks about that as well. So that is what I have for you on Paris Hilton. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Shakira. Shakira, 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 her hips don't lie. Let's see what her energy wanted to share with me. Shakira is still so fucking pissed. That good for nothing. She gave him everything, and this is how he repaid her. By sleeping with that whore on her sheets. She hates him. She's talking about her husband, because he apparently had an affair in their home on her sheets. She hates him, that pig. Yeah. People warned her, but she was Shakira. What man in his right mind would cheat on her? She was a prize, and he was trash. She hopes he spends eternity with his whore, so they can both get a taste of how rotten they both truly are. That is what I have for you on Shakira. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Helena Bonham Carter. Now she's pretty wacky. And I want you to know that she is as wacky as she seems to be. She always was. She always danced to the beat of her own drummer for as long as she could remember. And she has always seen things through a different lens and a different way. And she has experienced life through that different lens and in a different way. And therefore, she has had a hard time here on Earth, and it feels like a terribly incongruent environment for her herself to live in. And she does, in fact, long to be somewhere else and to live somewhere else. So she is at least glad to be in an industry that accepts non-conformance. But she also did share that some in the industry do, in fact, suck. Actually, most of them do, but a few are genuinely okay. Like, for example, she absolutely adores Johnny Depp, and he is a kindred spirit, and she is so glad he got away from, quote, that witch, end quote. She's referring to Amber Heard. It was so obvious to her that they were not okay, and Amber was not okay, but not her life. She's just happy he's okay now, and for the rest of them, who cares? So that's what I have for you on Helena Bonham Carter. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is somebody the name of Marilyn Manson, who is a musician, a dark, very, very dark musician. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Very short. Marilyn Manson is proud of the life he built. He looks around and he feels good, satisfied and accomplished. He has no regrets. And that thing with Evan Rachel, this is his ex-girlfriend who had brought up allegations of abuse with him. So he says that thing with Evan Rachel, she is, according to him, just a bitch and to pay no mind to her. So that is what I have for you on Marilyn Manson. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this next one is wild, I think. So the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Kathy Griffin. I don't know what she is known for. Is she like a comedian or something like that? I don't know. But let's see what Kathy's energy wanted to share with me. Kathy Griffin is not who people think she is, but she will not say who or what she in fact is. She looks at me, winks, and says a lady never tells, then cackles and tells me she's no lady. I'm going to share with you that as an energy reader connected to her energy, there is something crust about her energy, something unclean. Like, she's somebody that doesn't shower and she only wipes herself down with water and a towel, but with energy. Because what I was able to ascertain about her is that she enjoys watching sick things and then cackles about it. And she doesn't understand how this has corrupted her. Like, she actually enjoys watching insane, perverse porn, including the releasing of bodily functions and then playing with it or smearing it on each other. So she actually enjoys watching things like that. But not because she gets off on it, but because she laughs about it in disbelief that people do in fact watch it and that they do in fact get off on it. But here's the thing, she's no better than them, whether she gets off on it or not, because she's still watching it. She is somebody that is unbelievably veiled. And she has one of the densest energies that I myself, as an energy reader, have ever encountered. Like, she has the energy of a dinosaur. Large, hard to move, slow changing, and incredibly fixed. This is someone who would rather die than live being wrong. It's her way or the highway. There is no softness to her, no warmth, no kindness. And when we have seen her at her so-called worst, that is who she genuinely is. Please remember that. At her worst is who she genuinely is. And what we see the rest of the time is a facade. So she really is the kind of person who wishes death to people that she does not like, and she really would have liked to have seen Donald Trump been beheaded. Because she had shared something, I think, on maybe Twitter or something like that. It looked like a Trump mask had been like beheaded or something like that. That's really what she would have liked to have seen about him. So in this regard, it's a really good thing that she is veiled, because gifts and abilities in her hands would be a very dangerous thing. Because she is the type of person who would have cursed somebody and negatively cast spells on those she does not like, and she would not think twice about it. So she is veiled, and thank God for that. Now, in regard to those rumors, because they persist, in regards to the rumors that she is actually Anderson Cooper's brother that unalived himself, this is what I have for you. So Anderson Cooper has a brother. I believe his name was Carter Anderson. So Anderson Cooper had a brother named Carter Anderson, and I don't know how many years ago, but I think he jumped off a building or something like that, and he unalived himself. So this is what I have for you on the rumors that she is actually Carter Anderson, like rebranded as a woman. When I made contact with Carter's energy to see what side he's on, as in, is he on this side, is he alive, or has he crossed over? He told me, quote, "I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere," end quote. And as he was saying this to me, he pointed to the ground, as in pointing to a grave. So he said, "I'm here, I'm in the ground, I'm in a grave." Then he pointed to Kathy and he said, "I'm there." And then he pointed to the sky and he said, "I'm everywhere." Now, this is my interpretation. This is 2% personal opinion. I don't think Carter himself knows where or who he is, because whatever afflicted Carter in his life that led to him unaliving himself persists even in the afterlife. So this is not a mental disorder, but in fact, some sort of deep energetic virus that corrupted the motherboard of his soul, if you will. But I do not think, again, 2% personal opinion, and I will always tell you when it is. 2% personal opinion, I do not think that Kathy is Carter Anderson. Their energy is distinct and their energy is separate. There's Kathy's energy and then there's Carter's energy. They're not one energy. Kathy, Carter. This is why I am coming to the conclusion she's not Carter. Kathy, Carter. So I do not think Kathy is Carter Anderson. However, I do think that it is likely Kathy is a cousin or a relative of Anderson's, and that they may in fact have been raised together. And they have had the same things done to them, and that's why Kathy is into the things that she is into. But I do not think that they are brothers. Now, if you want to know more about the things that was done to them that I speak of, I have membership, channel membership. There is a members video on Anderson Cooper. I go into all of this. But I'm not going into all of this right now. So if you want more information on the membership, or if you want to join, and if you want the things that I can't reveal here because they've been revealed elsewhere, there is a link to my channel membership down below. So I do not believe that they are brothers. I also do get the distinct impression that Kathy is a hermaphrodite, as in she has both female and male genitalia. And that Kathy was considered a delicacy when she was younger. This too has led to her being compromised and all of the gross energy that is around her, because it clings to her. And there is no amount of showering or bathing that will clean it and clear it away. Kathy is corrupt because of the corrupt things that were done to Kathy as a kid. So that is what I have for you on Kathy Griffin. Any questions or comments, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a radio jockey by the name of Howard Stern. He was for many years called the Shock Jock. Let's see what Howard's energy wanted to share with me. Howard Stern is also a bit gross. Always has been, and probably always would have been, except for his wife, Beth. Now, he had been married previously, and I think he had 3 kids with his first wife. They got divorced. Then he married a woman by the name of Beth I don't even know. Beth somebody, with a name that I clearly can't remember nor pronounce right now. So he would have been gross, except for Beth. Beth has tapered him out and balanced him out a lot, which is what he had needed, and he knew it, and this is why he had married her. Because Beth is she has incredibly soothing energy, and she brought him back from the dark places he was all too happy to go. Everything before Beth is a bit of a blur, and everything now is Beth, 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 but not because she commandeers his life like Jada Pinkett Smith had done to Will Smith, but because he loves her and he is wholly and entirely devoted to her. So that is what I have for you on Howard Stern's energy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, I'm skipping some pages here because this is a video I had done, a member's video on the Rothschilds, incredibly insightful. If you are not yet a member, check that link out down below and become one. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is the U.S. military and the cabal. So how much has the U.S. military been infiltrated by the cabal? Very fascinating and different answer than I had expected. This is what was shown to me. It is anywhere from 15 to 40%, which is in fact a large variance, and it can sound very scary and can make one wonder how safe we in fact may be in our own country. So, first of all, what was shown to me is that the privates are mostly untouched, and they are just the soldiers who follow orders. The real corruption is really at the higher levels of the military. And even then, not all of them are corrupt. This is why it's such a large variance. Because it was shown to me as, if you will, seeding, planting seeds. Because not all the seeds take and will in fact grow into anything, but some do. And it is very much the same way here. They are not all necessarily corrupted and then owned and then brought over to Team Darkseid, but it's more like when one's energy is complementary to the energy that has been seeded, those that find their vibe tribe on Team Darkseid will be promoted and move up through the ranks. So as it works in the military is very much on a vibrational level, as like attracts like. So they see the corruption in, and those that are a vibrational match for the corruption, they find their tribe. Like attracts like. And then once it is known to those that are already on Team Darkseid that, hey, this one's one of us, that person will then get promoted and work their way up the ranks. So those that feel called to Team Darkseid will find their way to the dark side, And those that don't, won't. And those that don't will remain unaware of what may in fact be going on. So that is what I have for you on U.S. militaries and the cabal. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this next topic I was asked to look into is, are these so-called elite universities elite? Fascinating question, fascinating answer. Now, the so-called elite university would be considered like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT, all of those. Let's see what was the information that had come in on the so-called elite universities. So this is a so-called simple question with a not so simple answer. Here's why. Elite universities do not exist for the betterment of mankind, nor education. Certainly not for the 99% of the population. They, in fact, have an entirely different set of reasons and purposes for existing. Here they are. Number one, brainwashing the next generation. Because I can't say all, because I haven't been to all and I haven't heard about all, but I would say a large portion of the universities now are nothing more than indoctrination centers. So number one, brainwashing the next generation. Number two, weeding out the best and the brightest, and those of us that could in fact come to make a genuine and positive contribution to humanity. So when they recognize those that could in fact make a positive contribution to humanity, they recruit them and they lock them up in a job rife with bureaucratic red tape, but one in which they are paid so damn much that they can't justify leaving it. But it's a job in which they can in fact get nothing done. Or if somebody cannot be recruited over to something like that, what they will do is they will break their mind a la Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber. I have done an excellent video on him, linked down below if you would like to go back and if you would like to watch it to come to understand more about what they had done to Ted Kaczynski to break his mind. Because he is in fact somebody that would have made a positive contribution to humanity. Number three, asset relocation and money laundering. Do you have any idea how much these so-called elites charge for tuition? Like, I don't know, $75,000 a year? Okay, asset relocation and money laundering. Number four, to create a caste system of the so-called haves and the have-nots. We're not elite because we don't go to Harvard. Number five, produces so-called talking heads and experts that are owned, and then when they make a statement, it carries more weight, so people will listen, even if it is a pre-approved, agendized statement. Plus, these people can share their opinions in medical journals that carry more gravitas. Number six, a place to literally place prominent kids of club members for their education and to give them gravitas so that when these people want to run for president, they have the so-called elite pedigree. So as you can see, all of those 6 reasons outlined above, none of them in fact cover education, other than the indoctrination education. Because while the cover of them is that they are a so-called elite educational institute, the true purpose of them actually has nothing to do with education. So no, as a matter of fact, they are elite in little more than name alone. So that is what I have for you on if elite universities are in fact elite. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next question, I don't know if we're going to be able to get through everything. I really hope so. I'm going to start to really pick up the pace here. The next question I was asked is, why do Black universities have white presidents of the universities? This is what I have for you. This is to non-verbally reinforce the idea that whites are superior to blacks. We are not. But this is part of the spiritual war. It's to create division between the 99%ers. So this is a non-verbal and subtle way of trying to continue to create race wars and division between us. By non-verbally reinforcing the idea that whites are superior to blacks and to continue to create race division. If you will, this is taxation without representation, because they are not being represented by their own. And this is done by design to send a subliminal message of a continuity of servitude, even in freedom and even when it comes to education. So that is what I have for you. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is human sexuality and sexual attraction. And this is what was shown to me. Human sexuality and sexual attraction is a complex combination of both chemical, energetic, and soul components all rolled into one. So on the chemical side, there are pheromones that comprise how we respond to the smell of another, and if we are attracted to a person based on their scent of the scent of their sweat. On an energetic level, there's how do we vibe with one another? Is this an energy and a vibration of somebody that we are compatible with? And on a soul level, there's soul contracts that we are meant to work out with a person that we have arranged prior to our birth that connects us in any particular lifetime. Thus, sometimes a person may feel familiar to us once we meet them. So it is in fact complex and not at all simple. Then you also add to it personal preferences and attachment that we carry through from lifetime to lifetime. Such as we may be so particularly attached to the gender that we had in a previous lifetime of ours, that we are attracted to people of the so-called same gender in this lifetime, but it's only because in a previous lifetime, we were very, very attracted, God, I keep doing that. We were very attached to having sexual relations with people of the opposite gender. So the way in which we experience them in this current lifetime is through the attachment of that last incarnation. So it is a very complex combination of chemical, energetic, and soul components all rolled into one. So complex and not at all simple. So I hope that answers any questions that you have on that. Please do comment down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is rather long, but rather insightful. And the question is, why is society so shallow and superficial? This is what was shown to me. So this is another deceptively simple seeming question that is actually very complex. Because first of all, we are living in the Cabal's world, if you will. And this too is another massive oversimplification. But here's the thing, I have done numerous videos on it, both members and otherwise, and I'm not going to take the time now to go through all of those other reasons why we live in the Cabal's world. But I have to oversimplify it for brevity's sake here. Otherwise, we will be here all day with this particular AMA. But massive oversimplification is that we live in a reflection of the Cabal's world. And because the Cabal has stepped away from God and has no connection to God or creativity, all they have a connection to is 3D and materialism. So because of that, they have done their best to continue to disconnect us ourselves from the divine and to direct our focus to things that we so-called need, as in 3D material goods, because this is their world and we live in their shadow and their connection to it. In addition to that, the Earth is a very dense energetic location that is akin to quicksand. So we may feel naturally a pull towards the earthly goods because guess what? That's also part of the reason that we're here. Now you're going to couple that with the fact that we are veiled and many of us don't find our way back to our connection with the divine or any spiritual pursuit. So that's on the one hand. Now, on the other hand, is the way in how we are influenced by influencers, TVs, movies, magazines, societies, the Joneses that we have to keep up with, etc., etc., etc. And especially as society shifts more towards narcissism because of social media and oversharing and how it's become normalized. But this is also endemic of modern day life. Because we all have more time on our hands. The extra time that we now have is one in which we are living lacking meaning and purpose with our time. as we are disconnected from our village, so to say, and our people. Because back in the day, depending on how far back you actually want to go, we lived in small communities or villages where, like the bar Cheers, everybody knew your name. So you ate with your family, you worshiped in your community church, and you would date and marry in your community. And then you would live in your community. People also worked so hard physically and manually just to survive. So no one had time for silly pursuits. You were a farmer, so you would work the land or you starved. You milked your cow or you didn't have milk, cheese, or butter. And whatever you yourself didn't have, you would trade with your neighbors because you lived in a tight-knit community. And they would trade with you. And because, again, depending on how far back you want to go, there was no electricity. You were up by dawn and you went to sleep shortly thereafter. There were no bars, clubs, TVs, movies, or cell phones for us to scroll for hours on end. Life was, in fact, back then more simple and rotated mostly around our survival, and that's it. But in modern day times, with the advent of modern day conveniences, we have a lot more free time and a lot more hours to keep ourselves busy and more disconnected from family and meaning. So if you want something to eat, you go down to the local store or you order online. You need to do laundry, you press a couple of buttons on a machine. It's no longer back-breaking labor. You also don't have to grow the cotton or on your own personal farm to create your own clothing. If you want some, again, I wrote this twice. I guess I was hungry. If you want something to eat, you can go down to the store, go to the restaurant, or order it from Uber Eats, or you can Postmate it. It's quick, easy, and it involves little to no effort on our own part. We aren't farming the land to get our food or milking our cows. We have electricity, and our nights now extend as late or as early into the next day as we want them to go. So we have all this time to fill. It can be as healthy or not as we want it to be. And as many of us may crave connection, however, many of us live in big cities and we are disconnected from our loved ones and the people who knew us when we were younger. So we find companionship in some cases with online communities where we have not actually even met these friends. Or we swipe on an app to find a quick, empty, and meaningless sexual encounter. So our entire modern way of life makes things so quick and easy for us, it has literally burned out our dopamine receptors in our brain and has trained us to seek the next quick, easy, fast high. But those are all things that are devoid of meaning. So shallow and superficiality of society is a symptom of something that is broken. In this case, it's society that's broken. And the pitfalls of oversimplifying things for people in which they themselves do not develop a strong character because of it. Right? How many of us complain about stupid shit? If we were all farmers, no one would have time to complain about stupid shit because we needed to till the land to fucking survive. So what's the solution? Join the Amish. Just kidding. This is what was shown to me as the solution. Spend more time alone. Spend more time preparing our own food. Even if we're not growing it, prepare your own food. Don't just buy it from the deli down the street. Spend more time away from our phones and spend more time raising our vibration. Because the world is a reflection, not just of the cabal, the world is a reflection of us ourselves and our own particular vibe. So through our own vibration, we bring more of what we are into us. So if we don't like what we see, focus on raising your vibration. So the universe will bring in more high vibe people, places, and experiences, and less shallow and superficial ones. So that is what I have for you on why the world is so shallow and superficial. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next question I was asked is the we're gonna make it. Guys, I've got, I think 3 or 4 more topics. Yes, okay. I gotta do it quick though. So the next topic I was asked to look into is the crossed over souls and their so-called notification system. How do they know that we're trying to reach them? And do they always hear us? So this is what I was shown. First of all, it depends how far along they are in their crossed over journey. So as in, how much time do they want to spend at each of the booths in the afterlife cosmic flea market? I have done an entire video on this, link down below. Not gonna go through it now. Please do, if you have not seen it, or if you want a refresher, go back and watch that one. Because again, for brevity's sake, I can't go through everything that I've gone through in the past, especially when it's a video that I have done previously. So that is linked down below if you would like to see it. So, how much time do they want to spend in the cosmic afterlife flea market? How much time do they want to spend healing? How much time do they want to spend with God, etc.? Because there is a tender period whereafter, when a soul crosses over, where we are deep in our grief and where we are getting used to them being on the other side, and where they themselves too are getting used to no longer having a body and being on the other side. So at that time, they may not be so available to us. They're having a massive soul adjustment as well. Now, this period was shown to me as lasting about 1 year's time. Then thereafter, the soul can make a decision to stay close to the earth plane and to then choose to be of assistance to those still on this side. They may even decide to stay as an unofficial guardian angel, because some people can have, 2 official and 1 unofficial, which is like the soul of a loved one that has previously crossed over. But even if they don't, the rules we have there do not apply to them. So they can be in multiple places simultaneously, right? We can't. I'm here now. I can't be here and in Timbuktu simultaneously, but they can. So when they call, they can be with us in an instant. Now, they can also be with us and a sibling in another state simultaneously. So unless they have left the earth plane altogether, they can be with us in a heartbeat. So that is what I have for you on the crossed over souls and their notification system when we try to contact them. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this next topic I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Cardi B. Let's see what her energy wanted to share with me. Cardi B feels unsafe, unprotected, and she wishes she could cover herself in a bulletproof or fireproof cover. She has constant nightmares of being in her home as it burns down to the ground and having no way out, or being gunned down while walking out of a boutique. It is semi-debilitating for her because she is scared to stay home, but she is also scared to go out. And there is, from her point of view, no safe space for her. She is also scared that she has been a bad girl and has not done enough, and that they are coming for her. And this is when she had shared with me, that's the problem with joining the club. In case you were wondering if she's in it. It starts with just one thing, but then the asks never stop. And you don't get more for complying. Instead, you get threats of what will happen if you don't comply. So has she done enough? She doesn't know. She guesses she'll find out whether she lives or not. And that is what I have for you on Cardi B. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Macaulay Culkin, who is a previous child star that started off in Home Alone. Now, he has been rather vocal in talking about his own personal experiences and coming to understand what happens to child stars in the industry. So let's see what Macaulay's energy wanted to share with me. Macaulay Culkin does not want to talk anymore about what he has spent so much time talking about. He has tried for years to tell us what Hollywood was like, but no one listened. It's such a convenient lie to believe that what we see is in fact real, and that everyone on the red carpet just loves each other. That they're so surprised and honored to be nominated, and that the awards are really about their own acting achievement. Eye roll, come on. So I tell him, because here's the thing, he actually, I think, had tweeted when, I forgot the guy, I always forget the guy that was in the TV show, he had won an Academy Award for playing the role of Freddie Mercury. And I think Macaulay Culkin, after this guy had won the Academy Award, he's like, okay, I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna say it. This guy, whatever his name is, he eats, not gonna say the word, he eats BABIESs. If this is a surprise to you, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy that we get to wake you up. But Macaulay Culkin had actually tweeted that. So he's saying, like, come on, guys, as if the people who are winning Academy Awards, it's about the acting. No, it's because they took the knee and they now pledge fealty to the club. So I tell him, I really want to know, but it's not out of morbid curiosity or to make fun of him, but because I believe him and I want to hear about his experiences. So it's at this point his energy calms down a little bit and he looks me in the eyes and he tells me he stands by everything he has said. Because he lived it. And he would gladly go to the gallows speaking the truth than to live another day speaking lies. And no matter how bad we think it is way worse. And anyone who joins the club is a damn fool. He was young and he didn't know better. What's anyone else's excuse? They didn't get enough attention growing up? Go to therapy. You want money to buy nice things? Get a better job. But for the love of God, do not join the Hollywood club, according to Macaulay Culkin. So that is what I have for you on his energy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 topics left. I really hope I can get to it. Okay, here we go. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is Ethan Hawke, an actor who used to be married to Uma Thurman. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Ethan Hawke wishes he can go back in time to when he was younger and enjoy himself a little bit more. But he was so self-conscious and insecure, and it took everything he could just to get through the day. But he sees his kids and the life they lead, and he wishes he could do it all over again. But not in this world, though, because it was simpler back then when he was growing up. Less agendized, and you could just live and you could just be. But the girls today, if they are, this is him sharing this, not me. If they are in fact girls, read between the lines. But the girls today, if they are in fact girls, boy, did they grow up fast. Because in his day, girls were awkward and shy, and now they seem so mature and developed. And looking at them sometimes makes him feel like a pervy old man. And it's not his intention to be like a pervy old man, but man. Not that he has the energy anyway. Sex is a lofty goal for him, but it sometimes lacks execution. As in, he lacks execution, if I know what he means. I think he's sharing with me he suffers from erectile dysfunction. I mean, if you're reading this differently than I am, please let me know, but that's what I'm reading here. He laughs and he says, okay, I've said enough, and he moves on. So that is what I have for you on Ethan Hawke's energy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person's energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Patricia Arquette. Rather insightful. This is what I have for you. Patricia Arquette shakes her head and she really wants me to know the industry did not used to always be this way. She may not have much of a career, but people talk. And people who are just getting into the club, they especially talk about it. And if someone, as in Patricia, kept their mouth shut and was observant, they could see the change in them. Subtle, but noticeable. Of course, those who are way high up in the club, they do not talk. Not to anyone that is not in the club, certainly, but they don't necessarily even talk to those in it about what they have done to join. And it's different for everyone depending on what was wanted of them for them to get to join. But it's always something, and the amount you give determines just how high up in the club you'll go. So again, suck it, Jennifer Lawrence. So no one has to talk about it because they let their achievements speak for themselves. Suck it, Jennifer Lawrence. And their achievements does a better job of speaking for them than they would anyway, as they in fact may be too traumatized or live in disbelief about what they have done to join the club anyway. Again, subtle changes, but it's something that she has noticed by being in the industry forever. Not the club, the industry. Nope, they didn't want her. The Hollywood club didn't want her. But she has served some sort of industry purpose. So like a good little dog, she was given treats or rewards here or there. She was probably used for like front purposes, you know, like the people who like give the appearance like movie making is about movies. So she was given little rewards here or there, nothing major, but something. And it was nice while it lasted, but it's mostly gone. Because the ladies age out really fast unless you're Meryl Streep. Everyone else has maybe 10 years and it's in the height of their youth and beauty, and then they're done. And there's a reason female directors don't win many awards. Because being a woman, they are naturally more connected to the other side. So the ask of the female directors to join the club is so much bigger. This is something I had never heard before. The reason female directors are not nominated a lot for Academy Awards, and they certainly don't win a lot, is because the ask for them to get in and to get their seat at the table is so much bigger. Because they are naturally more connected to the other side, according to Patricia Arquette. So the ask is always so much bigger. And do they want to do what's being asked of them? Many don't. Thus, many don't ever get a seat at the table. Forget about having an award. So despite whatever we're being told that there's not enough diversity in Hollywood and how stars are bleeding on about it, hello Anne Hathaway, the reality is behind the veil, they're not actually allowed to get into certain industries or certain areas of the industry because the ask is too big. And she gets it. Patricia Arquette gets it. She really does. And she isn't sure if she would have been asked to do these things to join, if she would have been able to. So she's really glad that it has not come to that. So that is what I have for you on Patricia Arquette. Any questions, please do let me know down below. This next one is super short. I was asked to look into the country band, the Dixie Chicks. This is what they shared with me. The Dixie Chicks are pissed off about what was done to them, and that's all they wanted to share. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, this next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Austin Butler, who is a talented actor. I recently saw him in the movie on Elvis. It was a good movie. So let's see what Austin's energy wanted to share with me. So Austin said, so far so good. He's been perfectly happy and content with how his career is going and happy they are upholding their end of the deal. His career has been progressing exactly as they said it would, and he is excited for what's next. Now, he is dating Kaya Gerber, who is Cindy Crawford's daughter, who is a model. So I asked him about his relationship with Kaya Gerber, and he rolled his eyes and said that's the one area he really could do without. And I was like, explain. So he told me the showmances, the fomances are tiring, and he finds Kaya entirely too boring. Because guess the fuck what, guys? It's not a real relationship. It's a showman's or a foman's. You want more context on this? I have linked the video on the Hollywood industry that I have done down below. So he finds Kaya entirely too boring, but she was raised for this, according to Austin. She was raised for this life and the career that she has. And she was raised from young for this because her mom knew the rules and raised her in them. So Kaya is young, and she is also rather underdeveloped because of it. Like, why bother developing all parts of yourself if you're basically given a roadmap to your success and you're told go that way? Just fucking go that way. It's like a shortcut. So she is rather underdeveloped because of it. So the time they spend together, because they do in fact spend time together, it's a showman's, but you know, they gotta spend time together on the red carpet or whatever, is dull. He acknowledges it could be worse, yeah, because she is perfectly nice and she's not a bitch, but still. He would love to one day be able to be who he is and to be on the red carpet with the one he loves, but he does not think that that will ever happen because it would ruin his sex appeal. Because yes, while the industry has come a long way, he thinks being openly gay, after the amount of all the money that was pumped into him, that probably is not in the cards. So yes, it's a small sacrifice in the grand scheme of things, or it's a small enough sacrifice for him. So that is what I have for you on Austin Butler. Any questions, please do let me know down below. This next one I also found to be rather insightful. This is on somebody by the name of Julia Fox. Was not at all familiar with her, but somebody had told me that she apparently had dated Kanye West after he broke up from Kim Kardashian. So let's see what Julia Fox's energy wanted to share with me. Julia Fox is a bad and dirty girl. And that's exactly how she likes herself. And oh, the boys, they like her that way too. Oh, yes, they do. The girl who's up for everything, that's her. And we wouldn't believe how popular she is, even if it's not in the tabloids. Because after being in a loveless marriage or a showmance or a vanilla romance with girls who only want to fuck missionary on their 5,000 thread count sheets, with a nice little candle burning after being romanced for an hour by their... I actually like Julia Fox's energy a lot. Because she's painting a picture here, guys. Is she not painting a fucking picture? Do you not know exactly who she's talking about now? So they got the candle burning after being romanced for an hour by their desperate boyfriends just hoping to get some. They flock to her. Because Julia Fox self-reports she has no boundaries sexually. And they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. And she's down with it. Because no matter how bad, so-called bad, the boys think they are, they're usually just sexually repressed. And they want to just bend a girl over a desk and fuck her without having to take her out for dinner first and please her for an hour. But they're genuinely good boys who have been brainwashed into believing their totally normal sexual desires are somehow abhorrent. They're not. Trust her. Trust Julia Fox because she has seen Truly Abhorrent, and that ain't it. In fact, she'd be happy to get more of the Truly Abhorrent, but she doesn't, and that's okay too, because she sees herself as a healer of sorts. She is a sexual healer who lives in service to man, to help them find their way back to themselves, being men. And Kanye? He just needed a nice, normal, stable girl after he split from Kim. And believe it or not, that is her. And he needed someone normal and emotionally stable and not prone to moodiness like Kim apparently was. And she was happy that she could be that for him. But she self-corrected here because she's like, wait, that actually could have sounded like it wasn't genuine. And she's like, no. She means she is anyway a naturally emotionally balanced kind of a person. And that was not an act that she just put on for Kanye. She truly is emotionally even keel on her own, mostly because she accepts all parts of herself, so there is no darkness to suppress or run away from. That can end up impacting her moods because she knows who she is and she loves herself, and it's a beautiful thing. So that is what I have for you on Julia Fox. Any question, whatever her name is, Fox. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now I have 3 topics left. I'm gonna race the fuck through them because I got a session after this. So the next topic I was asked to look into is Ed Sheeran, who is a singer. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Ed Sheeran, as soon as his energy connected with me, he said he did good, did he not? He's really proud of himself. Because for a minute there, it really could have gone either way. He could have ended up being an obscure nobody or a superstar, and he's glad it went by way of being a superstar. Because he is genuinely creative, according to him, and he would have been a miserable and truly unfulfilled nobody. He would probably have been the sad drunk sitting in a pub at 10 a.m., smelly and unshaven, complaining about how it was meant to be, how he was meant to be a somebody. So it's probably for the best and everyone in those pubs that he did in fact make it. Now, I found him to be a bit of a blathering fool. Like, look how great I am. Look at my success. It's so good that I'm successful. So I felt that he's dancing around something, and because I don't think he's just like narcissistic and he just wanted to say how great he is. It felt like he's dancing around not revealing something to me. So I press him and I ask him, what did he have to do in exchange for that success? Because it could have gone either way here, Ed, right? According to you, what did you have to do to make sure it went your way, the right way, according to you? Right? What did you have to do in exchange for all that success? And he refused to make eye contact with me. He does not want to admit that his success has anything to do with anything else but his talent, because according to him, he's got so much of it. So I tell him, I'm not here to challenge his talent, but rather to say that the road to musical success in the music industry is littered with the remains of the talented that did not join the club. And the two are not mutually exclusive. One can be talented and have no career in the music industry, and one can also be completely devoid of talent and they can have success in the music industry. To which he balks and tells me, no, that's not true. He has, quote, never encountered anyone who isn't talented, end quote. And he uses this as his evidence that he himself is successful because of his own talent. But I'm a clever girl. Just ask George Clooney. So I ask if he's ever had, no, not George Clooney, just ask Tina Knowles. So I ask if he ever had to sign a contract outside the scope of the one in which he had with his record label. He looked away. So I press on. I ask if he's ever been asked to do something he himself found questionable or wasn't comfortable with. So it's at this point he threw up his hands and he tells me, fine. Maybe there are some who weren't so talented, but that's not the case with him. He's quick to tell me. The contract he signed was only to assure he would be as successful as he could be. To which I again challenge him. Ed Sheeran, if you're so talented, why did you have to sign a contract to assure you would be so successful? And to this question, he slammed his energy shut on me. That is what I have for you on Ed Sheeran. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic I was asked to look into is, I'm actually going to end on Leo DiCaprio. So I'm going to skip a page, and the next topic I was asked to look into is an actress and an actor, a married couple, by the name of Alicia Vikander and Michael Fassbender. Very short segment. This is what they shared with me. They politely requested that I leave them alone as they try to live a private life. So I respect their request, but I will share with you the little interaction I had with them. It is evident there is a lot of love between the two of them, and that is in part why they wish to live privately and what they wish to protect, their love. And it is also very evident that Michael is very protective over Alicia. So that is what I have for you on Alicia Vikander and Michael Fassbender. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now I'm going to end on Leo DiCaprio. So, do we even need an intro to who little Leo is? He's been in the industry for fucking ever. He started off on a show. He had his big so-called breakout in Titanic. He's been in a bunch of movies. He finally won his Academy Award, and he is a very, very outspoken on climate change and all of that, yet he owns a private jet. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Don't ask questions. 99%ers don't notice the inconsistencies in what they say and what they do. So Leonardo DiCaprio smiles at me and says he has, quote, heard of me, end quote. Guys, I'm famous in the Hollywood industry. They're hearing about me, y'all. Oh my God, it just tickles me pink. Eye roll. So he knows to be careful around me and not to overshare. So I ask if that means he'll share at all. To which he says only pre-approved messages. So I tell him I'm sometimes a little dense. I do live in the 3D afterworld, and I don't know what that means. Can you be a little bit more specific here? What's a so-called pre-approved message? Can you give me an example, Leo? So he says, like, how great his life is and how hot the girls he has dated were. So I'm confused, and I ask why that has to be a pre-approved message. So he tells me he didn't say he'll listen. And I'm like, what the actual fuck is he talking about? So my impression of him up until now is that he's not very bright. To which he tips his head in my direction energetically in concession. And he tells me one in the Hollywood industry does not in fact have to be very bright to wield influence. And he's a perfect example of that. Because one just has to listen and follow directions, to which he has. And that is why he has done so well. In fact, they sometimes like their stars a little stupid, so they aren't a challenge or any trouble to them. So I ask, isn't that what MK Ultra mind control is for? So he tells me, so he's heard, but they've never had to do that on him. Then he looks concerned for a moment and says, at least he doesn't think so. But if they did, they wouldn't want him to know about it. So if they did MK Ultra mind control on him, he wouldn't know about it. thus the expressed concern on his face. But no matter, he has had a great life and a great career and great love affairs with beautiful women that were always younger than him. Because again, he concedes he's actually not too bright. Not too dumb either, but he's certainly not winning any Pulitzer Prizes. So he does like his ladies a little young, and these young ladies were always happy to just be with him, so they didn't challenge him mentally. So he liked mentally immature girls, is basically what he's saying, because he himself is not too gifted upstairs. Now he concedes he is no great thinker nor philosopher, and therefore he is so happy to be in an industry that celebrates looks, because that he's got. And he's had a nice life because of it. So yeah, okay. They tell him what to say and they craft an image of him. To him, it's worth it because it takes the pressure off of him to think of what he has to say on the red carpet. Not gifted upstairs mentally. It takes the pressure off of him to have to think of what to say on the red carpet when he's being interviewed. So what if some stuff was done to him when he was younger and just getting into the industry? He barely remembers it anyway. And now he has an Academy Award, he has millions in the bank, and he has influence, so he's set. As long as they do not decide to take it all away one day and make an example out of him a la Harvey Weinstein. To which he laughed and said, "That dirty old bastard." That is what I have for you on Leonardo DiCaprio. Any questions, please do let me know down below. That also concludes this latest AMA. I hope that you have found this AMA to be interesting and insightful, maybe even thought-provoking. Any questions on any of the segments or anything that I did not have time to specifically discuss, please let me know down below and I will be sure to either recommend further videos of mine in which I can provide further illumination and context. And if not, I will see you guys the next time. This is your reminder to A, take what resonates and to leave the rest behind. And second, to stay in the high vibration. Love you guys and goodbye.